this happened to me. I was hired on 2 different occasions to design and build a show by Jules Feiffer called Little Murders. It's a futuristic, very dark comedy with, where the world relies on violence. I didn't make it all the way through on either one of them. I was fired off of both productions because I have a problem with authority. Some kind of nonsense. Anyway, all right, the first one, I was a young man. I was a little wild. Okay, that's fair. Fire me. That's fair. But the second one, it wasn't fair. The guy was just trying to steal my money. And he fired me about 10 days before we opened at a little theater down in Hollywood. Well, I was mad. First of all, you know, he shouldn't have fired me. And second of all, he wasn't going to pay me? No, I don't think so. So I went down to the first preview, and if they were using my set, I was going to sue them. So here's what happened. Toward the end of Act 1, a lot of stuff happens toward the end of Act 1. Because usually, the way it works out, if something stops a show before intermission, you can get your money back. After intermission, if something happens that stops the show, that's just, you lost your money. That's the way it is. So a lot of stuff tends to happen just before intermission. It's when producers are sweating bullets. Anyway, so this character is up center, and he's sniping out the window, is what he's doing. That's what this play is based on, this hyper-violence that we're raised with. So he's going to shoot his rifle out the window. Now, in a professional production, you have what's called a cover gun. And a cover gun is backstage in the hands of a stagehand. It's a blank pistol. So if something happens to the onstage shot, you've got a backstage gun that'll back it up so the show can keep going. That's just standard. So, guy's got his rifle out the window. He's looking, and he gives his line, and he goes, click. Right away, backstage, you hear, click. There was a little snicker. He goes, So he opened the bolt, he put another round in. He aims it, gives his line again, he goes out the window, and click. Instantly, backstage, you hear, click. Now the audience is snickering. Now you can hear it, there's no other sound. So the audience is starting to snicker a little bit. You can see him sweating bullets, and there starts to be tension now, because it's really uncomfortable. And he opens the rifle, and he's only got 3 rounds. So he puts that third, and they're full load blanks. That's why they want to use a rifle. It's a full load blank. So he puts it in. This is his last round. Well, I worked on the show. I know he's only got 3. But the audience doesn't know anything except something's going wrong, and they're getting kind of tense. They're snickering, but you can tell certain audience laughter. They're snickering not because it's funny, it's because they're uncomfortable. And he aims out the window, and then he made his mistake. He went like this. And when he went like that, boom! That thing fired off, and you hear crash, crash! The whole theater went dark. The audience is just, and then down the aisle, there's only one aisle, down the aisle comes the only usher they have, who's also the box office person, who comes down the aisle with a flash like this. Ladies and gentlemen, could we ask you to please leave the theater in a quiet way? There seems to be a small fire in the booth. So the audience goes, well, stage manager's a friend of mine. So I call her up and say, what's the deal? Here's what happened. When you shoot a blank, there's a wad in there. It's a cardboard and cotton wad to keep compression on the powder so you get the bang. If you don't have that, you just get fizzle. So we got that wad. And what that means is that first 10 feet, that wad is that bullet projection. It can hurt you. It killed an actor named John Michael Exum, who was fooling around. It killed Bruce Lee's kid, too. Same kind of thing. The wad for the first 10, 12 feet is lethal. It's dangerous. So I had built a small safety box with sand in it. So he would aim down that box, and when he fired that full round, the wad would hit that sand in that box and be safe. Well, when he turned his hand like that, he missed the safety box, and he fired. The wad hit the bunched up curtain, hit the stage manager on the shoulder. She went over, and her stool was crashed. But then she had headsets on, and they were plugged in to the rack. And And as she's on there, she can feel her headset pulling the whole rack on. She can see it coming. And bang! Crash, crash, crash. And it was patched into something because the dimmer was actually in the booth. And it fried a ground or something, but it fried the dimmer. Dimmer went, and they had their house lights on the dimmer so they could dim them and raise it. That's why the place went black. Well, anyway, I'm in full laughter mode at this point. The producer would not replace the dimmer because he thought it was the theater owner's responsibility. The theater owner would not replace the dimmer because he thought that the producer had messed it up. So neither one of them would pay that $3 grand for a dimmer, and the show never opened. It ran for one performance, and I saw it. I walked out there and said, you know what, I don't think I'm going to sue anybody.